and it matters a lot. Today, I wanted to talk with you about manifestations. Last week, we talked about 2021 coming up. Now we're here, and we talked about goal setting. And really, what we talked about last time were the nuts and bolts of creating a goal, drawing up a blueprint, making sure that it's relevant and actionable and time bound and all of that. But today, I want to talk about the energetic side of things, the energetic side of goal setting, dream building, and vision creation, because we really do create our own reality. Manifested anything lately? Do you think you have? Well, I'm here to tell you that you absolutely have, because it happens every single day. Sometimes unwittingly, we manifest, or that is, bring into our lives things that we don't really want. Most of the time, we don't realize that we're the ones doing it. It's because of something else, but really it's always because of us, because of our feelings, because of what we're thinking about. But it's also possible, well, so in that case, we are manifesting by default, we could say. But it's also possible to manifest by design. Once you understand how the laws of the universe, the laws of vibration, frequency, energy, and attraction actually work. So let's talk briefly about what that even means, the laws of the universe, and how it can benefit us. What about the law of planting and reaping and sowing? What about the law of aviation? The laws surrounding that, the laws governing the orbiting of the planets. These are laws. And they didn't come about by happenstance, surely. They came about by design. The design of a loving creator. That's why they're here. That's why we're here. And so once we understand how the laws of the universe work, we can actually use them to our best benefit. We can use them intentionally and on purpose. For example, the laws governing aviation were always there, but we didn't always fly because we didn't always understand it. But once it became understood, now look what has been the result. Even something simple like, well, I'm saying simple. How simple is gravity? It's not that simple. But understanding gravity, we do take it for granted. And yet, because we now understand it, we use it intentionally to our benefit all the time. Just to give you a quick example, isn't it true that a carpenter will use a level? Why can he do that, or she? Why can he or she do that? Because they know that gravity will show them center every time. It's reliable. It's constant. The sun comes up every day. Even when we don't see it, we don't worry about it. And it doesn't matter where in the world, because it comes up everywhere. These are laws. And the law of vibration, frequency, and energy are laws just the same. And so understanding that everything is energy, even our thoughts, and understanding that energy attracts energy like itself, suddenly we are put in the driver's seat in many instances in what happens to and for us in our life, something we might not have ever considered before. I certainly didn't know this all the time. In fact, the first time I heard something like this, I thought, who's smoking what? I couldn't wrap my head around the idea that my thoughts were powerful. My thoughts were just my thoughts. But that really isn't the case. And the reason I'm bringing this side of things up, because we've talked about it before, and we'll talk about it again, is because here we are embarking on a brand new year. And knowing isn't doing. And so if you're inclined to say, oh, yeah, I know all about that. And perhaps you're very well aware of all of it. are you using it intentionally for your benefit? It's easy not to because life, and we are kind of living in a soup of negativity. So it's easy to be drawn into that flow of things. And we're in the middle of a pandemic, for heaven's sake. So it's easy to allow fear to take over. And because of that, we may have been challenged with the loss of job, with health challenges, all kind of situations because of this thing called the pandemic that we didn't really have any control over. But we do have control over our response to what's happening around us. And we can still actually get what we want. First, you have to decide what that is. What do you want? What do you really want? What do you want? And even though that might seem like a redundant question to keep asking, a lot of people really don't know. Not really, because they haven't allowed themselves the the luxury of deciding, I want this, I want that, as if they could actually have it. If you don't think it's possible for you to have something that you would really want, it's easy to just put it on the back burner and say, yeah, that would be nice, and not allow yourself to think too much about it. People have dreams on the shelf. A lot of people have dreams on the shelf. Dust them off, bring them off the shelf, and look at them, because if you look at them and if you allow yourself to dredge up the emotions to really want them and believe that you can have them, guess what? You can. You know why? It's law. It's the law of vibration, the law of energy, the law of frequency, and the law of attraction. And when you learn how to use them intentionally to your own advantage and benefit, it benefits everyone around you as well. And your life is better. And it might surprise you how good your life can be. You know, in my experience and in the experience of many others, it seems that the law of attraction and law of energy operates with shock and awe, with delight, with fun, with jaw-dropping experiences, with unexpected things, all because you believed that you could have what you want, even if you don't know how, and it doesn't seem possible. In those cases, it's more delightful than ever because it seems so far-fetched. And yet, you can have what you want. And really, understanding that means that you can design your future in a more specific way than maybe you ever realized. I'm going to quote Einstein again. You've heard me quote him before, because he said he described this so succinctly, and because he's Einstein, and people know that he was brilliant when it came to science. And what we're talking about right now really is science. It's not woo-woo. It's not. Somebody said to me one time, actually it was one of my clients, when I was describing just a vision board, she described it as wait, what did she say? Not make believe, but something like that. It was like hocus pocus. That was her word. She thought it was like hocus pocus, but it's really science. Here's what Einstein said: everything is energy. If you can see that, I don't know. Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency with the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. And then he went on to say, this is not philosophy, this is physics. So what we're talking about here is very real. And I have shared some of my own stories before. So I thought that I would share a few other stories today. But the whole reason for doing that, why am I doing that? Is because I'm thinking about you. I want you to understand that this doesn't just happen for other people. It can happen for you. And it is a matter of understanding how it works and how to implement those things. But the beautiful part about all of it is that every part of it, even learning about it, understanding it, and implementing it, is fun. Because life is supposed to be fun. Life is supposed to be enjoyable. And so the process of manifestation is enjoyable. And like I said, jaw-dropping, surprising, serendipitous, amazing. And I would love for you to experience it if you haven't already. And maybe many of you have, but it might be sporadic. It might be like, whoa, well, that was awesome. But then how do you do it again? And how do you do it intentionally? And then live your life that way? It is possible. And in fact, I do have a program, 12 steps to manifestation. I have a 3-month program that you can engage in if you like, and we'll work together. So if, let's say you've tried this and it's hit and miss, and you think there might be something to it, but you just can't get it down. Or maybe you, like me, think it was just hoo-ha, or like my friend who thinks it's hocus pocus. If we work together, you will find out very quickly that you can take the reins of your life. And then there's a year program because there's 12 steps. And we can dive into each step of the process, month by month, all year long. If you'd like to find out more about either one of those, just let me know. And someone might say, yeah, but what about a 6-month program? We've got 3 months and we've got a year. Well, you just do the 3 months twice and you're covered. All right. So, but the main thing I want you to think about is what you want. Would you like to travel when that opens back up again? Are you unhappy with where you are right now in your job? Do you not have one and really desire to find the perfect job? What about the perfect person in your life? What about the perfect strategic partner? Somebody that, when I say perfect, sometimes I get flack on that. Well, nobody's perfect. Of course not. But it's a relative term. Someone that, really is on the same wavelength as you, that you get along with so well, that you brainstorm well together. You love the way they think, and they love the way you think. And together you come up with amazing ideas and then implement them together. So it might be a relationship. It might be better health. Do you feel like you're out of control there? That whatever happens, happens? You have way more control than you think you do by virtue of your thoughts. I'm going to show you why that's true in just a moment with somebody that I know, a specific example. Well, there's so many, but one that I'm thinking of right this minute. Would you like to be a best-selling author? You think, I can't even think about writing a book. That seems so, too much. It's not. It's not too much. And yes, you can be a best-selling author. And then the other thing, what about more money? Can you manifest it? Yes, you can. So it really, each and everything in your life that you may feel like you don't have control over because you're just going with the flow, and the flow of life isn't what you want right now, you can change it. You can shift it. You can make a shift in your life. Kind of like if you're in a locomotive and it's going down a track. Well, if you learn how to, do the gears to shift the track, now you can go in the direction that you want to go in. You don't have to stay on that same track. So it's just a matter of learning what to do. And I would love to help you do that. I really would. Because I've just experienced it so many times. And it has changed my life in so many ways. And I'm just delighted about it. And it makes me happy when I see it happen for someone else. I tell you what, we did just a manifestation workshop a few weeks ago, and it was just an hour and a half session. Really, the first half hour was networking. So I guess you could say it was really just an hour session. And about 3 days later, one of the ladies that was in on the discussion texted me to say, Leanne, I was working on something and I manifested it, something specific. And I was just delighted. I was as delighted for her as if it was me. And that's how it affects you. Um, so I have a couple of examples to give you that are not mine. I might give you a couple of mine, but I've already talked about that. So I don't want eyes rolling, like, oh, here we go again, kind of thing. But so there's a girl who wanted to go to a seminar. She really wanted to go badly. It was about $3,000, and she just did not have the money. But she started to understand the laws of the universe from the standpoint of vibration, energy, frequency, and attraction. She started learning about how you can raise your own vibration to the level of whatever it is that you want, because everything is energy. And if you can match your vibration, just like Einstein said, to the level of whatever it is you want, you can then receive it. So she was learning about this. And she had said, well, that's it then. I'm going. She didn't know how. She said, I didn't know how I was going, but I was going. So she had made the decision. Well, she was talking about all of this with her cousin. They had gone on a path in the woods for a walk. And she was telling her the things that she was learning about vibration and energy. And she had mentioned that she wanted to go to this seminar, but she didn't have the money. And she had told her, I don't know how I'm going to go, but I just know I'm going to go. And as they were walking, she noticed something under a leaf along the path. And she said, what is that? So she walked over and she lifted up the leaf. And she said, oh, it looks like an earring. She dusted it off. And she said, oh, that looks like a diamond. And her cousin said, well, yeah, but it's probably a CZ. And then she said, yeah, but wouldn't it be something if it turned out to be a diamond? And it would be a demonstration of everything I'm telling you right now? And they just contemplated that. It's like, yeah, that would be amazing. Turns out it was a diamond worth $9,000. One example. I mentioned health, that you can have more control over your health than you might think by virtue of your thoughts and feelings and vibration and energy. And there's a man named, he's a doctor, Dr. Joe Dispenza. You may have heard of him. He had an accident. I'm going to bring it real short. He had an accident, broke his back. The doctors told him he needed an operation. He said, if this had happened to one of my patients, I would have told them the very same thing. I think they needed to fuse his spine. Anyway, he got 4 opinions, and all 4 of them said operation, 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 operation. If you're, and I think there was a shot that even if he did have the operation, there was no guarantees he'd ever walk again. He said he would have recommended this to one of his patients, but he said, but this was me. And he just couldn't go there in his mind, in his heart. He just couldn't do it. So he decided to use his mind to heal his back, his broken back. And so what he did, and you can read his story, he reconstructed his spine. He saw the x-rays, he knew exactly what happened, and he was reconstructing his spine in his mind. But it wasn't easy. He said just to put it in his words, 6 weeks of hell, because it was work. It was mental and emotional work. And he said he worked on it for 3 hours every day. It was not easy, but he just kept at it. And he said pretty soon something shifted. Oh, what was going on was he'd be like mentally reconstructing his spine, and then boom, he'd see himself living his life in a wheelchair. He just kept getting that wheelchair in his mind. He was trying to replace that with reconstructing his spine and seeing himself walk again. Finally, after about 6 weeks, he said he could feel something shifted. Something shifted in in his body and in his emotion, and he became stronger in his mind. And to make a longer but very interesting story shorter, in 10 weeks, he was walking, he was teaching again, and that's what he talks about now every day and has for years now all over the world because of this experience. And he helps other people do the same thing. You can do the same thing. You can control your thoughts to the degree and your feelings and emotions and vibrations to the degree that you can have a lot more control over what happens to and for you in your life. And so I read a quote the other day. I think it was Earl Nightingale that said, "Don't give up on your dream just because of the time it's taking to achieve it. The time is going to pass anyway." And so, just like the law of gestation, the law of sowing and reaping, we know that if we plant a seed in the ground, let's say we planted a corn stalk in the ground yesterday, and the sun's shining and we watered it, we're not going to be disappointed or angry because we don't see anything today. Or if we planted it today and step out there tomorrow, we're not going to expect to see it right then. We know that there's a period, a gestation period. And also under the surface, outside of our view, that seed is unfolding and putting down roots and pushing up against the soil, maybe knocking out pebbles to bust through. But it takes time. So you just keep watering. Looks like you're watering in the dirt. But eventually, a sprig comes up. And eventually, you have your corn and you're enjoying it. Another thing, you're not worried that you're not going to get corn if that's what you planted. Boy, I hope a potato doesn't show up. We don't say that. We know better than that. And so it is with manifesting what we want in our life. If we put out the intention for something specific, we can get that specific thing back to us. Marissa, a girl named Marissa, thought she wanted to explore and experience what it would be like to float over the pyramids of Egypt in a hot air balloon. So you want to talk about some bizarre dreams? That might seem over the top. She thought it was over the top. But she did visualize it. She did put it on her vision board. She did allow herself to desire it. And then she experienced it. Like I said, there are a number of different things that you can do to help yourself get exactly what you want. You may remember the story of Jack Canfield, who, if you don't know who he is, I'm thinking you do. Famous motivational author, speaker. But before all that, he was learning about how the laws of the universe work and wondered if he could manifest $1 million. So he implemented the steps that I'm talking about right now. And he did not only manifest $1 million, it came in one check all at once. And the person who wrote the check put a little smiley face by his signature because it was the first $1 million check he had ever written. So even things that seem outrageous or outside of your scope of ability can actually happen for you. For myself, let's see, which thing should I'll do a quick one, okay? And it seems like a little one too. And then maybe I'll do a big one. But this is back in the day when the BlackBerry was like the thing. Everybody was talking about a BlackBerry. Everybody wanted a BlackBerry, kind of like the iPhone now, or even the iPad. These types of things. But back then, it was all about the BlackBerry. Okay, so I wanted one. I didn't have the money for one, but I did want one. And so I had been just learning about the laws of the universe very, very early on. And I was really just kind of testing it, just trying it to see if there was anything to it. And so I put this picture on my wall at work. And so it just sat there in front of my desk. And that was it. I just saw it every day. I knew I wanted one, but I didn't know how I was going to get one. I didn't have the money for it. And then one day I got an email from somebody that I networked with, because networking is what I do. And he invited me to come to a meeting at their office. So naturally I went. He worked for T-Mobile. So I'm going to a networking event at T-Mobile. Little did I realize that this particular event was a launch of what they called the Curve at the time. I left that meeting with a free BlackBerry in my hands. I'm like, what just happened right now? You know, just a BlackBerry seems like a small thing. But see, early on, I was just testing the waters. I wasn't sure. Was this like crazy stuff, or was it real? And then I thought, what if there's something to this and I just blow it off? So I started studying it, and more and more and more. You start getting your legs under you. Like, well, that means I can do this, or that means I can have that, or that means, yes, it does. And here's the thing about not knowing how. It doesn't matter one bit about that. In fact, you're not going to know how. If you think about it, the Wright brothers didn't know how to fly until they flew. Then they knew how. So oftentimes we're not even going to know how until we accomplish it. Then we look back and say, oh, that's how I did it. The other reason is because so many serendipitous things happened along the way that you couldn't possibly plan for. Well, even like that email. Could I plan for that? Oh, I know how. I'm going to be invited to a networking thing. You know, no, you're not. You're just not going to know how. And one time I wanted to, I thought it would be cool to be on the cover of a magazine. I didn't know how that was going to happen. I had no idea. I just cut out a little picture of myself and stuck it on the cover of a woman's magazine. And then I kind of forgot about it, actually. Years later, I wound up on the cover of the Soar to Success magazine without my having to, agonize over it, research it. How am I going to do it? None of that. And really, there's just a boatload of stories. I have so many of my own and others that I would love to share with you. But I tell you what, if you connect with me, we can chat about that, and we can chat about you, what you want to manifest. And to talk with me is free, And then if you decide that you'd like to enter the program, then let's do it and manifest what you want in 2021. I can't think of anything more exciting than that. Can you? So I'm going to leave it right there for today. Thank you so much for being here with me. Remember that your mindset does matter, and it matters so much.